Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of his Spirit, washed in his blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Good morning, Monday morning, June the 1st. Hope you've had a great weekend and all are doing well where you are. In his book, The Screwtape Letters, C.S. Lewis uses or writes about discouragement and the use of discouragement by Satan to sort of stifle the will of God. And in a dialogue between the senior devil Uncle Screwtape and his junior devil Wormwood, they have a dialogue, and Wormwood says that, Uncle Screwtape says this to Wormwood. He says, "Work hard then on the disappointment or anticlimax which is certainly coming to the patient during his first few weeks as a churchman. The enemy, God, allows this disappointment to occur in the threshold of every human endeavor. It occurs when lovers have gotten married and begin the real task of learning to live together in every department of life. It marks the transition from dreaming aspiration to laborious doing. The enemy takes this risk because he has a curious fantasy of making all these disgusting little human vermin into what he calls his free lovers and servants. Sons is the word he uses. Desiring their freedom, he therefore refuses to carry them, by their mere affections and habits, to any of the goals which he sets before them. He leaves them to do it on their own, and there lies our opportunity. But also remember, there lies our danger. If once they get through this initial dryness successfully, they become much less dependent on emotion, and therefore much harder to tempt." He writes about that, I think, because discouragement can be a very effective tool of Satan. He uses it against us all the time. In Nehemiah chapter 4, the Jewish people and their leader, Nehemiah, they were surrounded by enemies as they were rebuilding the city walls of Jerusalem. These enemies ridiculed the work the Jews had already done. They were planning an attack on top of that. And between the toil and the danger, the people were bone tired. They were worn out. They saw how huge their task was of rebuilding the walls of the city, and they were becoming really discouraged. Life is like that. When we become a Christian, our problems aren't just automatically taken care of. We'd like it to be that way, but that's just not the reality of it. And discouragement comes up, and believers aren't immune to that. Not only that, but discouragement and fear in the ranks can be a contagious thing. Negative people tend to bring down others with them. And so we have to be really careful about those things. And the Jewish people, they were thinking that the job before them was too big. They were ready to quit. They were tired. But just as fear is contagious and negativity is contagious, so is faith. So Nehemiah gives them a little talking to, gives them a speech, and he says this. He says, "I looked and arose and said to the nobles, to the leaders, and to the rest of the people, 'Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, great and awesome, and fight for your brethren, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses.'" And so Nehemiah rallied the people together. He built them up, he encouraged them, and they returned to their work, and they even put together a system where half of them worked while the other half stood guard in full armor, and the workers had their swords strapped to their sides. They were builders, but they were also fighters. And perhaps you're getting discouraged. Maybe you felt discouraged over the last few weeks or months with all of the different things that are going on, that are happening in our world. Maybe you feel depressed or alone. I think really we need to rally together. We need to lift one another up, whether it be in person or via social media we need to rally together. We need to lift each other up. We need to fight for each other. We need to remember that it's God's battle, that He's in charge, and because of that, we can have the confidence that He will fight for us. But we need to encourage one another, lift each other up with notes, with texts, with phone calls, and eventually, when it's safe, we'll do that with hugs. But we can say a prayer for each other, whether in person or at a distance. There's many things we can do to encourage one another and to lift each other up. So I hope this is encouraging to you. I hope it lifts you up a little bit. And just know that we serve a big God. When you feel discouraged, take that discouragement to our big God. He's big enough to handle your discouragement and my discouragement and everyone else's all together. We serve an amazing God. Love you guys. And again, hope to see you soon. Hope you have a great week. I'll see you next time.